maybe they were a little concerned about the future of their band, and that's why they brought you such a healthy amount of music. And I mean, this could have been a last album, and none of us would have been shocked, and I don't think it would have been a bad way to go out. I personally really like their later material, but I do know that I'm on the shorter end of that conversation. I'm on the least popular side. All right, so in 2009, 15 freaking years ago, man, 15 years ago, Rancid brought to the table an album that I guess I like to pair it with Indestructible personally, even though it was a big chunk of time in between the two.
It's the same. It's the same era though. It is so
Yeah,
much the
it's in
same
that era, but they brought Let the Dominoes Fall, and I think that it was harshly criticized for a long time, and people are starting to come around on this album a little bit more. I don't understand how anybody could dislike this record if you're a fan of the band, and I'm about to get into why. So, welcome to our discussion on Rancid, Let the Dominoes Fall, because this album is magnificent, man. It is such a good record.
It's awesome. I made a video years ago ranking Rancid albums, and I had this I think number 3 or number 4. So the big controversial take is after the Let's Go Wolves, I had I had Dominoes and Indestructible. And I forget which order I quite had them in, but like the biggest revelation then, and this is 4 years ago, was how much I forgot that I loved Dominoes then. Like, wow, this record's awesome, because I definitely listened to the heck out of it when it came out. But you just don't necessarily think of it always. And I think, like you said, it doesn't necessarily have that reputation. So, like, when I think of the big Rancid songs, I don't necessarily think of a lot of songs that are on this record. But there's nothing on this record that I don't like. And I've just spent so much time with this record. We've talked about it before. I had the double version, this one, and the acoustic CD, and I want to say a DVD that might have came with that as well.
Yeah, the acoustic one had it opened up it had like a disc tray in the middle, and then the other side opened twice, I think.
Yeah,
or no, it might have been like that opened twice to a booklet, and then it had like a disc on each side.
Okay, yeah, and it had guitar
Something
picks
like
too. I remember. I still have those later. I still have a guitar pick that says it says like branded on it and stuff.
Dude, I still have my poster right here on my wall, framed. Dominoes poster sitting right there, bam, right over by my door. Right above my guitar from Tim Armstrong.
Yeah, but even, and I say same era, I was insistent on same era as Indestructible, but even thinking back of when this was released, because I remember the time periods in my life very specifically, it's still, Rancid did feel kind of old. It felt like they were like wow, Rancid, because I had made my peace after Indestructible that I thought they were done. I claimed that on every album.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I just really thought, because I remember at the time they thought Matt had cancer.
Yeah.
And all that. Tim had just gotten divorced. So there was a lot of stuff going on. They were all working on the side projects. I kind of thought maybe the Rancid thing just might have run its, they might just kind of be done with it. It's been a great run.
Everything does come to an end. I mean, that is a fact.
Yeah. And I remember I had seen them in the interim. So I knew they weren't dying, but I wasn't necessarily what's going to be the next one. There was just a lot going on. And me personally, though, also just the time of my life, there was a lot going on. So I remember this feeling kind of old, but listening to it again, it has all the production, especially, is very similar to Indestructible. I think the songs.
Oh, we're gonna get into that too.
It just that's where it's Indestructible more than any. It's that 2000s production style and it's 2000s production style, that 2000s Tim Armstrong songwriting that he was doing. It just feels. It feels when you hear it, it sounds all like that era. It's just at the very end of that. The last prime of Rancid, I'd say this is maybe the end of how they were thought of them before they shifted into another phase after this. I can't really figure out what it is, but
their later phase quite a bit, but I would say that this one is different. This is so let me just get into some of my bullet points real quick, and we'll kind of go with this because this is going to be a long talk, I think. Mm-hmm. The album opens with, in my opinion, a classic with East Bay Night. I love that song, and Rancid are the kings, dude, of opening up albums with just bangers, dude. Think about all their records. They all start off with something that grabs your attention. It's either a single or it's something crazy fast, or you know what I'm saying? They make a point at the very beginning of the record.
I feel like this and the song Indestructible, it's almost like the songs that start out midway, sometimes they open the album with. There's not a lot of build up to the fast parts. They just kind of started, where a lot of other bands on their opening number, you have like a big guitar buildup or something like that.
Right.
There's a little bit of
They
that
do,
with like Maxwell.
And shit.
Yeah, but like on Indestructible, he just starts singing, and I know, and this
I love it.
There's a little guitar chord, but it's East Bay now, and it's just like it's almost like it's like in the middle of the jam, and it is just
they start off with a chorus, and I think that's
really that's what it is. That's more what I'm identifying. Yeah, you're right.
And so there's not a lot of fat on this album, like you were saying a minute ago. I only like there's only 2 songs that I even
and it's pretty long too, right? Like I've never. The only way I consider the length of it is it was like the second or third vinyl I ever got. I got this and Life Won't Wait were some of the first things I ever got on vinyl. And so there's 4 of them, like when you get Dominoes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a big record.
Yeah.
There's only 2 songs that I even consider skipping, and I typically don't even do that. I just let them play. I'm just like, this isn't my favorite. But on the 3rd song here, you got Up to No Good, and I wrote, this is the amalgamation of all the years of Rancid learning, the fruition of all their experience, the pop sensibilities of and Out Come the Wolves, the experimental sounds of Life Won't Wait, and the production of Indestructible. It's such a great song. And if you go back and you listen to Up to No Good, if you just listen to it while you're doing something, you won't understand, because it just sounds like a dancey ska song or like maybe a reggae song. Dude, go listen to that song loud as shit. Listen to it with your eyes closed and just listen to the layers and the sounds and the things that they did. It is exactly what I said. It's got pop sensibilities that Out Come the Wolves had. It's got experimental stuff that you would get with Life Won't Wait. And then it's got the production of their later stuff on Indestructible. So this is quite literally the culmination of 20 years of work and 20 years of writing music. And it's amazing, dude. Maybe it's 30 years. It's a long time that they were doing this shit.
Yeah, at this point, it was a little bit sooner.
Right.
Up to No Good too had that cool video. It was just that live video. That
I didn't know they had a video for that one.
Yeah, it was a real basic like live video, but that was kind of cool because it's such an upbeat song, and it's
such a great song.
What's great about this album is all 3 vocalists, like I think this is the strongest they ever were together.
Yes.
Like as far as shared responsibilities, like
Absolutely.
by far, I think this is like this one. I like a lot of what Matt brings on Self-Titled. Actually, the Self-Titled 2002 I'm talking about. I don't like it as much on, but I like a little bit what he brings on that. But I like Matt's like perfect on this album. Like this is like perfect Matt. And all 3 of them are great, and all 3 of them have a lot of roles. Like on Up to No Good, I can think of parts that both got like I don't know all 3, but at least that Tim and Lars are singing. We also missed This Place. We should point that out. It's a short song. But
no, I didn't miss it. I skipped it on purpose. That's one of the ones I don't.
Is that one of yours? Like. That's a good candidate for a skip. That is good. It's quick. It's just sort of.
I will say
basic,
the positive of it is that it's not a real long song, so it doesn't really bother me.
Yeah, and something too on this. I think this is their most not overtly political album, but the one album that the politics of it are most tied to what was happening in the country at the time. Because pretty much every one of these songs is about like economic recession, which was going on in like 08, 09. It's their more
a lot of politics in this album.
Yeah, it's their most and pretty much every Rancid song has like a political tinge to it. But this album feels like the most specifically political of any album.
Well, because they were getting older, man. They're looking at the world through a different lens.
Reflective, yeah, and being kind of on top of it and still in the past of it, and it was they were very much like the elder statesmen, like fully realized at this point, like because they're still in the mix more so when Indestructible, like they're on MTV with Indestructible. This is more them being settling into that role.
Before we move on to the next song, I do want to point out that I really like that they say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like nobody does that. They always count 1, 2, 3, and then they do something or 2, 3, 4. But they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know why, but that has always captivated me. I've always loved that and appreciate it because it kind of sticks out as an oddity, right?
Yeah, it's like a lyric the way it's delivered rather than a count.
Right.
Yeah.
Then we go on to the last one, To Die.
Yeah.
Dude, that song is like Indestructible Part 2. It's an absolute gem of a song. And I sing it every single time that I hear it. It's such a good song. And I think that one was a single, wasn't it?
This was the big song from the album. Yeah. So this is how I found out this album was happening.
East Bay Night has been the one that's eclipsed it, I think.
Probably.
In popularity.
Yeah. This is the one that's how I found out like the album was happening. Because again, it's like the mid 2000s. I'm just kind of like working at the job I'm at. Like I don't think like we had the internet to the extent I had like on my phone. They weren't like smartphones like the way we do now.
Isn't that crazy how long ago this was? And it wasn't that long ago at all.
Yeah, I just remember exactly at the place I worked at. They had just we're in the back in like a shop like loading stuff, and they just had like the alternative rock station playing. And I heard the song. It was clearly Rancid, and they were like, "That's the new one from Rancid." You know what I mean? I was like, "Okay, cool." So they got new music coming out, and then so like and then eventually a couple weeks later, like I was telling you, in Texas, I found this album. In Lubbock, actually, is where I actually physically found it. Yeah, so
isn't this the first one with Brandon?
Yeah, and so like to me, this song kind of represents that because it's like the new That's the other reason why it seemed like Rancid might have been done for because they also lost a member, but also like. Again, because like for me personally, I was kind of, to be honest with you, forgetting about punk rock a little bit in this era. Like I just wasn't as close to it, and that's why
I had a similar thing going on.
This album kind of dropped in there. Last One to Die kind of made it like okay to still like it and not be involved with it. Is how that song and it was just a cool song. Even like I remember I had been at the job I was at for 3 years, but the place had only been open 4, and so I was one of the veterans there, and it just kind of had. I remember it's so dumb now thinking of how small, but I remember this song, and I remember the little video with Tim. He's got like the coffee shop glasses that he's wearing, but he doesn't have the beard yet. He looks really odd in this video. He just looks different.
He's morphed a little bit too. He always kind of still looks the same, but he's got phases like everybody else.
This
People give large crap for that, but Tim does it too.
But this is in between like ripped, cool guy, indestructible Tim and like Matty Beard Spider Head. Yeah, like current transient Tim. Like it's right in between. It was when he was transitioning into his current like Pokemon phase or whatever he's in.
That's awesome, dude. Last One to Die is a fantastic song, man.
It is, yeah. Cool. And it's that classic like the reason why I think it's held up so well too. It has that classic like Rancid, the fun Rancid songs. Like they have a few of these. Like you said, Up to No Good is fun Rancid, but in a different kind of way, more of like a deep cut style one. Where this is more of like what their hits sound like.
Right. Well, the next song is one that I think needs more recognition. It's called Disconnected. I feel like it could have been on Out Come the Wolves very much. The guitar intro with Lars singing, and then this huge chorus. It's such a great rock and roll song. It encapsulates the entire band so well. And the bridge on that song is very, very good. It's classic Rancid. I think this album is a classic, honestly.
We get all 3 guys on this one, right? Yeah. Yeah. And I love just that part whenever Tim sings it. What does he say with the city on the left and a country on the right? And just the way he delivers that right before they go into it. It just Tim has really good vocal deliveries in this one because his lyrics are like, he's really understandable on this one. It's less of his speed delivery. And so like all his sensitive stuff sounds like he delivers it really, really well.
I think he was starting to explore other kinds of sounds with like the 10 Time Bomb stuff. This stuff was starting to come around, and that's where we get the acoustic stuff. We'll talk about that more in a few minutes.
Right.
And we got I Ain't Worried. It sounds like a reworking from maybe a Life Won't Wait session song.
Yeah. This one that's always like a subwoofer song for me, just because like it's Rancid. So let's turn that up and look cool.
It's very dance hall-esque, man. It's a bouncy track with haunting keyboards. Matt Freeman goes absolutely in on this song. Like, Matt Freeman, and dude, so it's almost like hip hop. It's almost like rap almost. It sounds kind of weird, and sometimes I'm not in the mood for it. But like, in actuality, it's a really, really, really good song.
But I think like a type of rap that you would be familiar with, like like that type of like rap where it's like it's not exactly freestyle, but it's just a bunch of guys on like an album. You know what I mean?
Yes. Almost freestyle though, like a flow. It's like a
flow.
like
even though it's 236, so it's not exactly loose, but it kind of feels like in the context of punk and Rancid, kind of a loose song, because again, a lot of these guys get their parts and stuff, and like when he's like whoever's got the line about being like the king of the low income park and that kind of stuff, like that's just cool.
They approach this song as if they're in a room with DJ Screw and he's just making a mixtape and they're freestyling along with a beat. That's how they approached this lyrically anyways. This is what it sounds like. So I know what you meant. I agree with that. It's a good song. I don't think it's like an amazing song, but it's very much a good song.
It's fun. I always crank it though. Like I always like to turn that up. I just like the vibe of it.
Okay, so this is the first time in quite a while that I listened to this when I wasn't doing anything else. And I just kind of sat by myself in my car, listened to it very loud. All the nuanced sounds that come out of this record are, I think they're just ignored or like not caught by a lot of people, because there's so many sounds, and in songs like that, they're like I ain't worried. There's all these weird little songs, man. Sounds, excuse me, weird little sounds in their songs. I don't know. I just think it's something that you need to point out, man. There's a lot of little intricate parts that go into the stuff that they create.
Yeah,
Rancid's so much more than just a punk band.
It doesn't, but it also doesn't overwhelm the music because, like,
correct.
These guys and Brett did a really good job of like figuring out where to place it and how to make it really flow and still be punk rock, you know.
So yeah, yes, I agree. Dude, they're the most. I'm gonna get in trouble saying that. Never mind. They're so good, man. They write such great music. Damnation was the next track. It's
good
all
song,
I
but
see is damnation.
But basic, I would say.
Okay. I'm not gonna argue that that's not true.
Yeah.
But what I wrote down was it's kind of a bobber rock and roll type track with kind of like a vision into the future, what they were going to sound like. Because this song sounds like the next 3 albums.
Right. That's a good point.
It's an incredibly catchy chorus and lyrics that I can relate to, and then I wrote down just in all caps, all I see is damnation, the whole world's gone to hell. And it's like, yeah, while it might be a basic song, it's basic in like a good way, I think.
Yeah,
it's kind of a basic track.
No, and I also think too, it sticks out a little bit in the sea of songs that come right after it. So that's why it sort of really stacks out as like kind of like I said, like basic punk is what I think, like basic Rancid style punk.
Yeah, it is. I agree with that. But I think every album that they put out has to have something like that on there because that's just kind of who they are at their core.
Well, and you have a fan base, you know what I mean? Like you and I always get into kind of like the deeper songs that a lot of these bands have, but a lot of their fans just want to hear like, you know, they want to just kind of mosh and do their things. So you got to service them too. They're important, you know?
Well, we're about to get into some deep cuts because New Orleans is the next song on here.
Oh, what an epic.
Dude, I put on here, New Orleans is a great story told by Lars Fredriksson. This is a classic Lars type song. I love it. It's not a standout in my opinion, but it's a very strong offering. The song's last part is really, really good though. The stick against the rim of the snare, and it's almost a clap, you know what I'm saying? With an open chord strum and Lars singing. I just put shit, yeah, I'll have some of that stuff. It's just like this, like click, click, click with like a open, and he's singing, and he's got such great vocals. Like the production on this song is fucking awesome, dude. Like it sounds, dude. Lars rock and rolls this song, dude. Like he fucks this song so hard, dude. Like,
yeah,
that's a weird way to put it, I guess. But like you know, he comes to the table and goes, "Here you go. This is as good as I got." And it's just, I mean, it's wonderful. I love it, man.
I mean, this is one of those like transcendent songs from the record.
I agree.
It's like one of those like, whoa, those are some of those songs that are just very unique to this album that only exist in this space, and New Orleans fits right in there. It's just, it's not often, and we'll talk about this maybe in a little bit of a pair because you have a 3-minute song and a 4-minute song right after this. It's not often that happens on a punk album, period, but much less on a Rancid album, and it does not drag it at all. But it's like I want to say maybe it's almost like a Life Won't Wait kind of feel, like approach to like their poppy music. It was almost like the idea behind like, let's take like the some of the progress that they made on Indestructible, but let's also like focus on it a little bit harder. Like these songs just feel very, very well crafted. Like it took a long time in between, and they probably worked on them for a long time, I would assume. Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's what I was gonna say. They had a lot of time because they had to teach Brandon how to be a member of Rancid. So when you have extra time to practice playing your songs that already exist, you also get to spend some time crafting new material. And like you said, I think these songs were taking their time on them. And you get Civilian Ways next, which is the one you were talking about, and that song. All right, so check this out. So I'm gonna tell you what I wrote down. I'm gonna tell you what happened today.
Okay.
So Civilian Ways is almost a country song. Such great storytelling. It's kind of a sad song, and I put I love this song, and then I put fuck man, my dad would have loved this song. It's a fucking banger of a song, and then I put damn, my dad would have really liked this. Steel guitar and shit, organ, almost tropical sounds at points, and it's in some traditional Irish sounds. This song is super complex, amazing storytelling, one of the best representations of the songwriting abilities of Rancid, not just a fucking punk band. That's what I wrote down. And so I'm getting like emotional thinking about this because my dad, dude, I haven't seen my dad die when I was 17, man. And so he was kind of like my dad was like a redneck, right? But when
Mm-hmm.
as I was getting older, sorry, dude, I don't talk about my dad a lot.
Mm-hmm.
As I was getting older, he was buying me punk music, right? And I don't know what made him do this, but he would listen to these records with me. And it was weird. Like he didn't have any interest in anything I ever did until right before he passed away. And I remember he liked the Dropkick Murphys, he liked the Bouncing Souls, he liked the Gadgets, and I remember distinctly him saying, "Oh, this isn't so bad," listening to some of the Life Won't Wait stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And when I heard this song today, it just brought up all these feelings and memories because it's impeccable storytelling, dude. Like this song is fucking beautiful. Like it's so good. And I literally was like singing the song at like the top of my lungs and just crying, thinking about my dad. Like if a band can do that to you, what else do you need from the band?
Mm-hmm.
Like in my opinion, if a band can draw that kind of, and it was a good feeling. I wasn't sad. It was just like, man, time to decompress a little bit. Here's the valve, you know, and like sing this song that you love and think about your dad and think about the time you get to spend with your kids and school's back in session, man. I gotta take my kids to school this week and like, man, I'm glad I'm doing a good job as a digital. I don't know, dude. I know this song isn't about that, but it's about that for me because it reminds me of my dad because it's a song that I know he would have liked. And so it's just this is what music's about. It doesn't have
connection point. Yeah,
it's a connection point. It doesn't have to be topical necessarily. Now the topic of this song is pretty somber, I would say.
Yeah,
but,
and I want to jump on. This is one of my all-time favorite Rancid songs, but like not one that I'm throwing out there off the top of my head, like when I'm telling you Rancid songs. But if I were to, in my on it, like since this
definition
album came
of a deep cut right here.
Yeah, and so like so for me, I have a very deep connection with the song, but because of the lyrics specifically is actually my interaction, and in a few ways, like I had, you know, it was just that time period, and what the song is about his brother, I believe, who actually is an Iraq War veteran, Tim's brother. I remember.
Oh, that's the song I was talking about earlier.
What's that?
I was like, is this a fucking war song?
Okay, yes, yeah, it is. So, and I assume it's about his. And the only reason I know this is I remember seeing Rancid live like in 2003, and they were doing him as Wicked, and he said, "This is for my brother. He's in Iraq." And then I remember years later reading a Transplants article and something about Tim's brother, because you always hear about Tim's brother, the one that's like still hangs out in like the Lookout like territory, but I guess he's got this other sibling. Or something like that, or whatever.
I didn't even know he had that many siblings, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I just remember this very specific. And then so this song though too, and like I lost a sibling of mine in that exact war that passed away.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And I had another. I've had just that specific war specifically. Like I didn't go to it obviously, but it's pretty like foundational in my life, just generally. And I've always generally liked like this type of music, like folk or protest music that's about those type of things. But it was the first time I heard a song that wasn't like a country song, which I don't believe any of. Like to me, I know it resonates with other people, but to me, it's mostly a gimmick. What in those country songs? So that's like what you're supposed to sing about. You know what I mean? Like, and so I heard this and it just kind of, it resonated with me because it's almost like, I believe it's about the sibling, but it almost like you would think the sibling has passed away the way that the song, cause it's almost this fantasy that he's singing about. And we're going to, I left this place back in 2003. That really resonated with me in 2009 that 2003 is the history, but like, that's how I knew specifically he was talking about Iraq because it's 2003. Like when else that's when the person would have left or the theoretical soldier in the song. And it's like, there's not necessarily a lot of room for this kind of subject matter or like style within like punk, you know what I mean? Or without punk songwriters, but go figure when a punk songwriter gets a hold of it, they do it very well. And there's plenty of good, like more somber, this stuff. I think like Green Day would try to do it with like the videos with 21 Guns, and that kind of stuff, because like eventually this music starts turning into like the bro country right wing kind of stuff, and that's why you generally just don't get into it. But that is not what this is about. This is more like a movie. This is more like a folk song, and I think there was a lot of those folk roots that he was about to hit with that solo stuff. A lot of that was peeking through right here.
My buddies told me that they thought this song sounded kind of like Bob Dylan. and
That's
I agree.
Yeah, on the last album, I was remember telling you that Arrested in Shanghai. My
Right,
my
I
friend's
love that
mom, who was an
song.
old hippie, she was saying she had to show it to her mom because it was Dylan. To her, it was Dylan, and I just think they were kind of in that
Two-horse song.
zone. They kind of went back to a little bit more of their roots, or like further back in their roots in their next couple of albums. They kind of
Right.
went a lot really with like the oi side of it, a lot with that in the next couple of
And Lars
albums.
wrote a lot more of the music.
Yeah, and that's kind of where they went. This was them kind of like filling their oats a little bit.
Dude,
I think.
this is the culmination of all their hard work. I'm telling you, dude, this is a much better record than people talk about. It is a fantastic album.
How about that they actually, because you asked about war songs, well, Civilian Ways is paired with Bravest Kids because it's the somberness of the Civilian Ways, but then he talks about the bravest kids who actually go to and do this, you know.
So that is also a song I was thinking about with this because I also wrote down the word somber that you just used. I put right after that somber song, we get this banger of a punk rock song, The Bravest Kids, paying tribute to our soldiers and young people that are probably terrified. That's what I got out of it, anyways. And yeah, man, this album is chock full of like very, very political, probably like personally political and heartfelt political, but very political.
Yeah, they were more. So these guys were more in shock on Indestructible with Lars's brother passing away,
Right.
with the divorce happening. Oh, they were more in shock on Indestructible. They were more reflective here of just like
Yeah.
So I fully believe if it is dedicated to this brother that I'm bringing here. Like I think Civilian Ways and Bravest Kids is basically one 5-minute like song. Like it's kind of a way of almost doing like what a Green Day would do with like an opera type of thing, but just break it up into actual different songs.
Yeah. Well, after that, when we get Skull City, it
What
seems
song
kind of
is
like
that? That's the one I don't remember. Now that you're saying that. Go ahead. I just realized.
I think it's the one where he talks about the girl dancing on the table, isn't it? Dances
Oh,
on a
okay.
table.
Yeah.
Yeah, dances on a pole.
Okay.
So
Right.
I said it sounds like a Lars and the Bastard song, kind of.
Mm.
I don't want to like it, but I do. I bet it means something a little different than it seems like it does. And I was like, LOL, great rockabilly sound in parts. These guys sound like summer to me. They sound like summertime, dude.
Yeah, song's just fun. Like
it's kind of silly, but it's
yeah, nothing more, nothing less. This would be up there. Like again, there's not really any cut, but like if I was an editor and had to cut, I guess Skull City would be a pretty big one for me.
Okay, so not this one, but the next one. So LA River is a song that I think a lot of people might want to cut. I love LA River, dude. Yeah, often made fun of, but I absolutely love this song. The chorus shows that they are able to have a little bit of fun, and it's so fucking catchy, dude. Boom, shaka, like a boom.
Yeah, I just don't take it very. I don't take it that seriously. That's why I don't mind it. Like to me, it's just like it's
just them being. I feel like it's just them having a good time and being like, dude, that'd be hilarious, dude. We should do that. Let's just do it.
And there's such a serious band most of the time. And this album, we're like, look at all the heavy stuff we've been talking about, but there's a lot of fun on this album too. There's a lot of dynamics in this album. I remember at the time, a friend of mine, she was a few years older, and she knew like about music generally and knew of punk, but didn't really know anything really. And I had a little like MP3 player or whatever, and this was the only album that was on there. So she wanted to listen to it, and she was stunned by what she was. I ended up showing her more Rancid, and she understood and respected it, but it didn't really.
That's awesome.
She didn't really love it, but like she was stunned that band that I was wearing with the skull shirts all the time, that this was the music that they were making.
I was talking to my mom about that the other day. She was asking me like, "Hey, aren't you guys going to go see Rancid soon?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said something about it wasn't anything like super negative. You know, she's chilled out in her later years with all that nonsense. But I was like, "Yeah." I said, "I think Rancid's a band that I'm okay with my kids listening to, even at this young age." And she was like, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, they don't have a lot of cursing in their songs or anything." And I said, "They talk about a lot of serious stuff, but they're very positive people."
Yeah, it's very PG-13, if anything. Yeah.
You know, I mean, they have some stuff that, I mean, they got fuck in a bunch of their songs, but like, it's not like they're out there just being like, you know, I don't know. They're not out there saying things just to say it. It's they everything that they do has meaning, in my opinion.
Yeah. They're not a shock value punk band at all.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was telling her, I said, "Mom, you should listen to some of their music." She's not gonna, but I was like, "You should listen to like specifically Life Won't Wait and maybe Let the Dominoes Fall," is what I told her. She just, you know, she was like, "Huh." I think one day I'm gonna try to sit her down and let her listen to like maybe 5 or 6 songs and just be like, "Look, this is what I'm talking about," and let her listen to stuff that is important to me. And maybe she'll get it. Maybe she won't. She probably wouldn't even appreciate that. So I don't know.
But it's funny. I always look at them. We always talk about how the pop bands have to bring you into the punk. Rancid, I've always felt like with me, it was the opposite. I liked them because they looked cool with the skulls, and like to me, they were going to be the dangerous punk that I wanted to find. And then I got into them, and I really liked all of this stuff. I realized, oh, this is actually what they're all about. They're kind of the opposite of how you normally have that relationship.
Well, they're just amazing songwriters. They're so fucking good at what they do. I mean, the fact that they got lucky enough to have these three dudes fronting this band is kind of wild. Like, I don't think it'll ever be like topped or replicated.
Well, and with all three members having such important and vital roles in the songs, the making of the songs, and just the band generally, like these are very important members to this team.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. Next song up is called Lulu. This is the second song that I would skip. I hate this song.
Oh no, see, and I have it in my notes that I left in the other room that this is like a top level song for me. I love Lulu.
Maybe I should go read. Okay, what do you like about it?
I like the way it's delivered. I like the message of it. I've always liked it. Maybe I like the way Tim sings Lulu. I've always just liked like the and then like America the Beautiful. That's what the sign says. I've just always loved that part. Yeah. To me, this one's kind of similar to, there's one on Indestructible. What is it? Off of Sweat, they were Prophet. Youth, they were Robin. That one, they grind you down to the ground. I can't think of it. But there's a song. There's a deep one.
Melody, but I can't
Lay on Indestructible. Like to me, it's kind of a pair song with that. Like in my brain.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would like absolutely skip it every time, but it's just one of the ones that I'm not really a big fan of. But then we get the song Dominoes Fall, another catchy song that has sounds from their entire career, but it sounds like it could have absolutely been on an Out Come the Wolves or maybe a B-side on Life Won't Wait.
It could have been on a single that was released after this album too. I would have been okay with that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not a bad song. I don't. Maybe that's where it's at on the album. It's another one too that I just.
Dude, I love this fucking song. It's so weird. We have some pretty opposite.
And I think it's a good. I think it's catchy. It's like, hey ho, let the
I love it.
I think it's catchy. I just like. And again, maybe because I really like Lulu. I'm a big fan of Alley River. Like I wasn't even aware of the criticism of Alley River. Like now that you're saying that, I know what you're talking about. I just, for whatever reason, Dominoes Fall, the song just kind of doesn't ever really hit for me quite right.
I really enjoy that song, but I mean, it's not something I'm going to put on my like personal top playlist or anything. But it's a great song.
Kind of weird because they don't really do a lot of title tracks. Like.
Right.
Yeah, they usually have like a lyric that is right. That is the title.
Well, the next song is absolutely a top tier Rancid song. It's Liberty and Freedom. It's a reggae anthem with incredible lyrics, and I absolutely love this song so much, dude. It's an incredible song.
Holy Tim Armstrong on the vocals on this one. It's amazing.
Dude, yeah, man. Oh, the lyrics in this song. This is a fucking protest song. This is a fucking anthem, dude.
He's doing like the Dylan thing, but on like. Okay, on Civilian Ways and stuff, he's doing the Dylan thing like as Dylan. But here he's doing like the Dylan thing as like Lint. And it's pretty awesome. Like he's delivering it more in that,
and then
that gruffy kind of way.
You have these soft background vocals by Lars going,
spray painted on the wall. So like a lot of these songs on this album could be like sang like chorally. I feel like there's a lot of like those big not gang vocals, but group melodies on this, and there's a lot of like different lyrical things happening on a lot of different parts of these songs.
Right.
With just doing that, I think that's just got to be them and Brett just really knowing how to stuff and how like, because you got to know like how to sing in the right key that complements what is just saying before. Like again, this is like it's punk rock, but there's a lot of intent in a lot of the way that they do these things.
Right.
They did it well.
Well, when this first came out, I remember listening to it and like not being sure how I felt about it. But when I got to Liberty and Freedom, I was like, oh shit. I was like, I need to re-listen to this album like right now because I don't think I understood what they were talking about until I got to this song.
Another life just could be a Life Won't Wait song too, right? Like
totally 100%. It sounds like a Life Won't Wait song. Then after that you got You Want It, You Got It. It's just another classic anthem from Rancid. It's this album's full of great songs. It's nothing to really write home about, but
every Rancid album has the second half song that's like, isn't it awesome that we like punk rock? Like, like it's basically the feel to it, and they've got whether it's Spirit of '87 or the one on the new album, where it talks about the give 'em the boot comp. I can't think of the name of the song, but they have
Right.
this. They have the it's so cool
This
that
is
we
the
like
place
punk
where
rock.
everyone can belong.
Yeah,
I love it, dude. It's just like
it's cool. Yeah,
but it's anthemic, dude. It's like the one that you can see kids singing to it. To all my friends, dude.
yeah, yeah,
It's so good.
and again, it's always kind of later on these albums where there's been a lot of heavy stuff. It's been kind of thick, and it's like you can almost see it like in the live show setting, like when you have like the slower songs. And okay,
right.
Let's pick up the energy, and this is a good one to really just
let's get back
boom.
to having some fun.
Yeah.
After that, you get Locomotive. I think that song's got a really funky ass bass line. It's a throwback to the sounds of Let's Go. It's a slapper, bro. This album is as good as anything that they've ever done, in my opinion. I really truly believe that, man. I mean, there's as many songs on And Out Come the Wolves that I don't like as there is on this album. That should tell you something.
So man, Locomotive, I had kind of in my brain like, oh, that sounds like the last record. And so you have Let's Go, which those records kind of sound similar.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I think I always say the more recent record was like the really grown up version of Let's Go, and I think Locomotive sounds like a song that would be on the most recent on Tomorrow Never Dies.
I misunderstood what you said. Yes, okay, yeah. Locomotive sounds a lot like
Let's Go. That chuggy bass liney stuff.
Yeah, and it has that like super like twangy guitar solo.
Yeah, very Matt Freeman, Tim Armstrong. Just kind of the way they do things.
Then you have like this bouncy ska song, sounds kind of like the Clash and Life Won't Wait, called That's Just the Way It Is Now. It sounds, dude, that one has heavy Clash influence.
I don't think this song ever ends. Like, I think it just goes on in eternity. Like, I know it's got the Nashville fade, but like I've been under the influence of a lot of beer. I'll say drinking this, not drinking this song. The song, like I just think of like being drunk and singing along to this song.
Well, that song is the second to last track on the album, and it feels like it's getting towards that part of the record, because when you get to The Highway is one of those songs that every musician can relate to. It's a beautiful close to a wonderful album. Opinions are hard to put in prison. I tell you the truth that won't be told. Uprising and rebellion, social change with flesh and blood. Bro, are you fucking kidding me, dude? Read the lyrics to this song, dude. This guy can write some music. I just fanboy, bro. Like, it is what it is, dude. I don't get like this about anybody else. There is nobody else that makes me feel this way. There's a couple of close-ups, dude. Jack Dalrymple from One Man Army gets me pretty worked up. Brian Fallon from Gaslight Anthem. Mad Joe Black from Wisdom and Chains. These guys write lyrics that really affect me, dude. And dude, Chris from Born to Lose really, dude, it really gets me with his lyrics, man. So The Highway is one of those songs. When I heard it, that was the first song that I listened to a second time.
This one is great. It's another one of those like
touring songs.
Yeah, like it's funny because there's a lot of songs in pop music like this, but not a lot in punk. Like the closest we probably have in all of punk, you'd have to go to like something like Blink with like Adam's song, with like because like the tour songs are kind of lame, right? They're fun, but like whether it's like Only God Knows Why by Kid Rock or Home Sweet Home by Motley Crue, like every genre kind of has like that theme.
I don't even think of every punk band I can think of has a song like this though.
And but
they
not
all have the one where they're talking about being on the road.
Not one that's like that. Like this though, to me, this song is more in like those classic rock type of road songs in that same kind of way. I think, something about this song really stands out to be like unique.
You need to listen to more street punk. All the street punk bands have songs. They're not like acoustic-y slow like this, but they all they have the same tone. But I do what you're saying, and I'm not trying to be rude. I'm actually saying like you should listen. Yeah, I think you'd like a lot of the songs. Is my point. If I come across them, I'll send them to you.
No, yeah, it's funny too because like again, I think about like now this feels like today I'm tired and this feels like a relatable song.
It does feel like I want to go home.
but also I was specifically, this is such a funny memory of so like this album. My son was born in 2010. This album came out in 2009. So basically, the end of any fun I had in my life, I really associate with this album, and that's why I said like I think it'd be like. The last time I got to really just be drunk and listen to music, like I can be drunk now and go watch music, but not so much at the house necessarily. And I remember we were out at the time and my ex-wife was pregnant with my son. And of course she had to drive us home because I am in no condition to drive home. And I remember hearing this song and being so emotional about like the lyric. Like it's so corny because like, again, I'm 24 4 years old and drunk. So like it's not really hitting me that hard, like in a real kind of sense. But I remember it hit me hard as the guy in the passenger seat with the pregnant wife that's driving me home, and I'm just thinking like how cool of a song. It's corny as hell, but it's just a memory I had of like of the song. And it's funny, like it was resonant to my dumb early 20s mind, and I hear that song now, and it's like it's resonant in the more serious, like intended way. Also,
well, like okay, check this out. So when I hear this song, it's very cinematic to me, and when I hear it, I have this image that kind of just plays over and over, and it's of uh it's like you see a dude's back. He's got like a battle vest on and his jeans on, his bandana hanging from his pocket, and a guy his keychain with like the little plaque thing that they took on the road with him. Where's mine at? I got some of those around here somewhere. You know, these things.
Yeah,
he's got one of these things hanging off of it.
Yeah,
and he's like pushing a cabinet up into the trailer, and they're wrapping up and the sun's going down, or maybe it's really, really late at night and you got a street light on above him. And that's what I think of when I hear this song. Is I think like, dude, wrapping up the show, packing up the gear, saying bye to the fans. Maybe it's the last show of the tour, and you're like, dude, fucking finally, man. I just want to sleep in my bed. Like, and at the same time, you get home, you unlock the door, you open it, and you're like, fuck, I want to go back on tour. Like I know that's what they're feeling when they write songs like this. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
man.
it's like an encore. It's like an encore to the album.
Yes, I agree with that. I agree with that because it's also like the beginning of the acoustic album. It's weird.
It's weird. It transitions. But sometimes like I've seen bands before. Like it's weird when a band closes on like an acoustic number. Like I always find that a little odd, or like on a slower
I like to do
song.
an acoustic and then right after that do a fucking banger and then close.
But I've also seen a lot of bands who will just put on like an acoustic-y or maybe even like a folk song, not necessarily that they play, that they'll have over the PA as people are walking out. And I've always liked, like, suddenly after you've just been like banging your head to whatever you've been banging it to,
fucking Hey There Delilah comes on.
Yeah, the Woody Guthrie song that they play over the thing suddenly sounds nice and peaceful.
Right.
You know, after you've been listening to Linoleum for 35 minutes or whatever. Well, and this is like an in-house version of that kind of song.
Dude, that's a good point, man. That's a good point. I have to wrap up here in a few minutes. I got some stuff I got to do before it gets too much later. But I want to talk real quickly about the acoustic versions of this album. It's an amazing second helping. It's like you get seconds for the record, right? A stripped down campfire sing-along version of some great songs. It says a lot about how they write their music. Plus what Tim was getting into with Tim Time Bomb material. It's a great addition and sometimes the type of sounds that you really need. But I don't think that any of those versions surpass the LP versions, in my opinion. I do wish that they would drop more stuff like that. If they would do an acoustic version of all their records, I think that would be pretty awesome to do in some kind of box set or something. And I think it would go over really well. I know that all their songs have been written on acoustic guitars for as long as I know.
Yeah, and see, I didn't realize that Outgunned, like I never snapped that wasn't a regular album track. I didn't realize that was a bonus track. Because I always think like that's always outnumbered, but never outgunned. Like it's just that the acoustic album itself is an album that in another universe you and I could do like one of our 15-minute segments on, because it's all pretty good. I think of it like they're just versions of these songs and maybe original versions. There's one I can't think of it now. I want to say maybe like Liberty and Freedom or I Ain't Worried, that I thought has some cool arrangements like within it and what they were doing. But yeah, I do appreciate it. I'm glad I have it. It made me more familiar with the album as a whole, and that to me was because I got to like hear the lyrics a little bit more on some of these songs.
That's what I liked about it.
Yeah, you got to feel it a little bit more. But even like I would have sworn to you that Civilian Ways was one of those songs, but no, it's just an acoustic song on the regular record. And then like the version in New Orleans, that's the one that I actually really, really like. Like I don't think it's better than the album one, but it's also awesome. That's the song that I'm looking at it that I really like.
I heard the Life Won't Wait demo album so many times that I can tell you that if they did like demo versions of all these songs and these records, that people would love it, man. People would buy it. I don't have a lot more to say about the record other than I think it's like as close as you can get to a 10 without being a 10. I think the album is almost perfect. I think that the fact that they gave us an acoustic version and it's also really, really strong says a lot about them as musicians. I think that maybe they were a little concerned about the future of their band, and that's why they brought you such a healthy amount of music. And I mean, this could have been a last album and none of us would have been shocked, and I don't think it would have been a bad way to go out. I personally really like their later material, but I do know that I'm on the shorter end of that conversation. I'm on the least popular side.
Yeah, I don't dislike anything of the new, and I love the new album like a lot, but I do think this was the end of something with them, or maybe the last gasp of something. Like kind of looking back, like I don't really know what it was, but it was sort of the end of some kind of era. But it took a long time for them to get there.
Sorry.
If it comes out though, like a little more in the peak of this music really being a little more popular than, because it's not like it's super dead in 2009, but say if this comes out, just like say you have Indestructible in 03 and this in 05, I think this album would have been a lot better received. Or if the guys like literally would have
definitely agree with that.
Physically been younger. Like that also plays into it as well. If they were just physically younger, would have just, because there's something even your brain does when an older band is older and you just see them, you just assume maybe it's not as good without always giving it a chance. I think this just suffers just a hair from that.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. Wholeheartedly agree. Yeah. Fucking great album, dude. I had a blast listening to it, and I was emotional going through this record. I don't get like that a lot, man. It's really nice to. I'm kind of a little pussy, I guess. I'm easy. I cry easy. I don't know what it is, man. I've had a
Rancid will bring that out of you. Their lyrics, and even if you're not into the lyrics, their music just has that evocative kind of thing to it.
I'm not trying to like get on a weird tangent here, but I've had kind of a rough life, man. I've had a lot of bad shit happen to me, a lot of stuff that I couldn't control, things I had no power over, and I've lost a lot of friends and family. And so, listening to music that pulls emotion like that from you, it's important, and we need it. Now, I don't always want to hear it. Sometimes I don't want to hear that. I want to just go listen to Up in the Wolves and jam out to like really fast songs, or I want to go listen to The Unseen, or I want to go listen to some underground.
The Lillingtons might be a good.
Yes, I'll go listen to the Lillingtons. Or I'm going to be talking about tragedy here pretty soon on the channel. I'll go listen to something real dark, Or I've been listening to Filth a lot lately. I've been listening to all that like late 80s, early 90s Bay Area stuff, dude. Filth and Crimshrine and all the stuff on Lookout. Yeah, stuff I don't even really have a lot of experience with, to be honest. I liked it, but I didn't really I didn't get into it the same way I did, because by the time I got into that stuff, I was already into like the U.S. bombs and shit, stuff that I really resonated with. So, but Filth is a great band. I love them, or we're a great band, whatever, however you want to say it. Anyways, man, next week we're going to be doing, what was it we decided on? Metallica, Ride the Lightning, and 7 Seconds. Oh, what album was it? It's The Crew. 7 Seconds, The Crew. It's from 1982 or 84. Yeah, both of these albums are 40 years old, so we're going to celebrate some 40-year-old
this is the time I think the first time we've ever done a double header 40-year. I think we did Milo Goes to College was the only other 40-year one I think we've kind of done.
Well, we're going to do Victim in Pain pretty soon too, which is Agnostic Front and 40 years old.
Yeah.
I'll find some more stuff from that era. I think that stuff needs to be talked about a little bit more, and those are some of the bedrock of what we listen to now. I mean, without those albums, a lot of stuff that we have, especially even Metallica. Think about all the music that we listen to that got directly influenced by thrash metal, which this would be like the bedrock of that, So Metallica fits on this channel because old Metallica is awesome and new Metallica is what it is. There's plenty of
we are old men, so we are on the internet, so we have to talk about old men things like Metallica. So,
dude, I wonder if Metallica's going to bring. I just now thought about this. Do you think it'll bring a little bit different audience to the channel?
Probably. I mean, I would assume that's a huge. Yeah. Like I get into some of the online fandom with them, and it's huge. Like I mean, they're a big band, so I would assume there's some people that really live and breathe it pretty intense,
Well, I'm glad I'm going to tell everybody how much that album sucks dick. Dude, that'd be so crazy if I got in here and was like, Ride Lightning's terrible. People would
with a punk audience, you might find it sympathetic. However, with the audience though that would aggregate that, it would be like, punk rock fool thinks he knows something. And all the
I would probably definitely get some shit for that. Man, this was a good talk. It went by quick. I'm all of a sudden very tired. I got some things I got to do. I'm gonna get out of here. But man, that was fun, dude. If you guys have any questions, comments, recommendations, put them down in the comments below, man. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Thank you for subbing. The channel is growing. I'm having a blast, man. Thank you, everybody. We'll see y'all next time on the Punk Rock Review Podcast. Peace.